What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for Out of Sight on Minor Evac. Brian, let's hear the mutation.
Minor Evac is the map where we have to fight our way to the evac ships, and defend them from the infested as they launch. We have to successfully defend 5 ships to win. On brutal difficulty, we lose the game if we lose more than 1 ship. All enemies are cloaked. Amon gets a Purifier Beam every 10 minutes, and it damages and chases you around the map.
So we have Eviling and Tutu in the call with us today. How are you guys?
Great.
Great.
Sleepy.
Sleepy? Oof. You know, I had like 3-4 hours of sleep last night, and when the alarm went off, I was like, no, I'll just come to work late. Sometimes stuff just happens. Oh my Donnie. How do we rank the commanders this week?
Okay, so for this one, it's not very difficult. The beam, if for every commander has a way to trap the beam. So to trap the beam, you patrol a unit around the beam so that the beam chases that unit forever. So if you don't know how to trap the beam, or if you use F2 a lot, you can drop a tier on your own. But basically, I'm going to assume every commander can trap the beam. Like, pretty much everyone can do it. So it's basically just minor evac with we move and scene.
Okay, but yeah, important thing here. Tutu's rankings will be based on knowing how to trap the beam. If you don't know how to trap the beam, or if you're like me, I know how, but I'm just too lazy, you can choose to drop him a tier. What do you think, Eviling?
Yeah, that is a fair thing to do. This mutator is rated at a B1 ranking for the amount of points that it is, and it's pretty much a free weekend. It's just dealing with how do you deal with we move unseen, and there are commanders that struggle with that, and they will be knocked down because of it. But we'll go into that as the tier list evolves.
Okay, let's begin. Abathur, where do we have him?
So for Abathur and pretty much every Zerg commander, you have overlords. So you can consider researching overlord speed. So you can get an overlord to the top right corner or around that area sooner. That way you can trap the beam really quickly, and you can still use F2. So Abathur and other Zerg commanders will have it a little bit easier, so because you can still F2. With that said, because of we move unseen, if you're not familiar with the map, you're gonna have a hard time getting your first Brutalisk. So you can get like Ravagers. It's gonna be slower. It's not that hard. It's just he's kind of gonna be slow early on. So you might need some help surviving. After you survive, I think you'll be okay. So yeah, I put him in B.
B
I guess
tier
for now.
Okay, what do you think, Eviling?
For me, I have Abathur from S to A. Because his earliest form of detection is a spore crawler, and you'll be able to see the enemies while the spore crawler is planted down, and then when they're luring, you'll see the shimmer of them moving, and then you can pop. I mean, if the toxin S is on auto detonate, it'll pop as soon as they touch it. Or yeah, if you're actually trying to lure and get the most value out of it, you just kind of wait for the shimmer to go fully over the toxin S before you pop it, or pop it manually. Otherwise, once he gets the overseer going, it pretty much play. And if you're trapping a beam, it plays like regular brutal. So yeah, just a note, most of my lists are going to be pretty heavy, either S to A or A to B, just because of how pretty this is a free weekend.
Okay, what do you think,
Free
Tutu?
week.
I've been playing P3 too much. I forgot you don't need 200 biomass to get a Brutalisk. So, okay, yeah, you can get 100 by like the little encampment, the the infested marines and the dudes in the center should be enough to get one brutalist, and I guess just one brutalist is enough to survive the first ship. So yeah, okay, I think A is fine.
Okay, not unanimous, therefore not S. Prestige wise, you want no
that's
prestige or second prestige?
Or second, yeah.
Okay, so note here, both Tutu and Eviling, and I guess you can count me in that group, are pretty decent at farming biomass and getting that first Brutalisk. But if you're not good at getting a fast Brutalisk on this map, then drop him down a tier. Abathur goes in B tier.
Wait, it's not A?
Oh yeah, A tier. Yeah, A tier. All right. Alarak, where do we have him?
Alarak, he has good forms of detection. He doesn't have Overlord or floating building, but you can still trap the beam with. You have war prisms that you could kind of just put around in a patrol cycle, but you kind of have to kind of break yourself with F2A moves. Otherwise, you can do things like dropping pylons in different corners of the map and let the Purifier Beam go after that. Once it goes down, just put another one on the other corner of the map and just kind of do troll face with Amon of chase me across two sides of the map. But although he has a very good form of early detection through the Havocs, and once you have the Havoc up, and if you're using P3, you have Mothership, which is just going to dominate over defending the ships. For me, S to A.
S to A. How about you, Tutu?
Alarak is really good on minor evac. I only have two issues with him. One is that his Havocs might die to like volatile infested and stuff. So
The Banelings.
if you don't have enough, like you need to have a warp prism or something nearby to warp detectors. So you have to make sure that your detectors don't die, because this map, like a lot of enemies don't shoot air, but your detectors are on the ground, so they're much more susceptible to enemy attacks. The second thing is his method of trapping beams is not as good as an Overlord because of the F2 issue. Plus, like if you use a destroyer or war prism, they attack. So if there's like a building or something nearby, they will attack it, and then instead of continuing their routes, they will just stop and attack the building, and they might die from the beam. So
Yes.
you have to know like where you are patrolling. Other than that, I think he's fine. So I put him in A.
Okay.
He's
both
good.
of you agree with A. Let's put him in A. You want the third prestige, right? You want the Mothership.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Alarak in A tier. Arcturus, where do we have him?
So for him, you can use the Imperial Witness to the blimps to trap the beams, and then you can't F2 though. But then, yeah, you can clear, or you can use ESOs to push into areas, or you can just like have a detector plus a bunch of troopers. The bases aren't that strong. As long as you trap the beam, it'll be fine, and then you can just mass bunkers and defend the ships. Pretty easy. So I put him in A.
Why not S?
Why not S? You can't have two.
That makes sense. What do you think, Eviling?
I propose S to A because you can lure the beam with floating barracks, and the other aspect is you should take your expo, and once you get to your get your expo secured, you start building ESOs. That doesn't require vision, and most of the enemies on this map are ground based. And if you do need detection, you drop Contaminated Strike. Once Contaminated Strike hits, it reveals all the cloaked enemies from We Move Unseen, and it keeps them uncloaked. They don't. Yeah, once they get hit by the Contaminated Strike and get feared, they do not uncloak. So
That's interesting.
That's a very nice handy tool. Yeah, S to A.
Okay, both of you agree with A. Let's put Arcturus in A. Prestige-wise, third one?
I'd say first one for more
First,
contaminated
third,
strike.
either one.
First one or third
Yeah.
one? Okay, let's put
Yeah.
Arcturus in A tier. Artanis, where do we have him?
He's good with detection, make observers. How do you kind of the same issue with Alarak? How do you make something a trap the beam? Don't got overlords. You could put a Tempest,
Phoenix?
but preferably observer.
Observers, right?
Yeah, Phoenix. Yeah, observer. Yeah, preferably observer. He kind of struggles with dealing with just the map itself. So his best bet in order to defend the ships are actually reavers, which is not a good solution.
Thought Immortals.
He still can do it.
So letter.
Not yeah, A to B.
What do you think, Tutu?
So this is not his map, so he's not good against. He doesn't have good AOE, so reavers will be good, but you better trap the beam. So if you don't trap the beam, that's gonna be problematic. If you go High Templar, you might run out of storms. So reavers probably better. The first ship though, you don't have much for the first ship. So you might get like one, you might just like use Unbound Fanatics to survive, which could work, but that's a lot of energy. The good thing is you do get a lot of time to go to the to get to the mid game, so you before the next ship. So yeah, I don't think anyone's really bad. So B.
B. So
Definitely
both of you,
same.
yeah, both of you agree with B. So let's put Artanis in B. Prestige-wise, you want the third one, right? Third one? Yeah?
Third one.
Okay.
I would actually for this one go with the first one because you can get reavers that you don't have to research their upgraded scarab capacity, and then you just get the enhanced splash, and then they will not run out of scarab shots.
Okay. So you can also use the first one. Let's move on. Dehaka, where do we have him?
Dehaka, so people don't like using Dehaka because of we move unseen, but by the time you actually need by the time you actually have to defend objective, you should have Glevic plus greater primal worms, so and you can make your regular primal worms. It's not really a big deal. And later on he just masks like Mutalisks, Guardians, Tyrannosaurs, whatever you want. So it's pretty easy. The one thing is he doesn't have a good unit that traps the beam. And if you use like a Mutalisk, which is fine, it's the same problem that Alarak has, plus you can't F2. So I put him in A.
A for Dehaka. What do you think, Eviling?
Yeah, all the same points that Tutu made. I have him from A to B. He can for this mutator can farm early biomass, but what you're gonna wanna you gotta know where to farm, and then you're gonna have to you don't get the devour or the eat, you get his leap and you get his roar. So when you know where the general enemies are, you can roar. You'll see the little icon of what's been affected, and then you can leap on them and just keep on leaping on them until they pop.
Okay.
A to B.
Both of you say A. Let's put Dehaka in A. Phoenix, where do we have him?
He can tech directly to his robo facility, get out the observer, and then also get out the forge so you can research the ability for Phoenix to be the Phoenix Arbiter suit, or Phoenix,
yeah,
the Arbiter suit to be a detector. And then after that, it mostly plays like a regular brutal. He doesn't have just like Artanis and Alarak doesn't have a good solid way to trap the beam, but he has a disposable army, and with the Arbiter suit, you can just if you don't want to be trapped in the beam, you just put your army in a area that you want the beam to converge on, that's out of the way of where you're defending, and then when it's time to defend, then you just recall your whole army to the ship that needs to be defended. For me, Phoenix is STA.
S. What do you think, Tutu?
For once, I don't recommend P2. I think using P1 or P0 or even P3, they're all better. Just because you want just use your whole army. Yeah, because if you just use P2 and then your shells they're running back to the ship, but then there might be no one at the ship waiting. If you're out of position, the ship might actually go down because it'll get hit from a different angle. Yeah, so he's fine. Just the detection's good. He just has a weird way to trap the beam. It's not as convenient as others, so I put him in A. He's still fine.
Okay, both of you agree with A. Let's put Phoenix in A. Prestige-wise, so you want just not the second one. And anyone except the second one. Because you want the straight-up army fight here. Okay. Phoenix lands in A. Han and Horner, where do we have them?
So Han Horner, they're fine. So you just use lots of Hellbats. Even if you can't see them, if the Hellbats die, they will fear the enemies, and then the enemies won't attack anymore. And you can drop Ravens at will. The hard part is, the bad thing is that the number of Ravens you have the number is limited. So you have to make sure you don't lose them. Good thing the infested don't really shoot up, and you can cloak. And this map also has a notable lack of detection. So should be fine. And for beam trapping, you probably will get a Raven and then you patrol it, but you don't, or like a Deimos Viking or something, just one of your air units. I put them in A.
Okay. What do you think, Eveling?
Yeah, I have Han and Horner from SA just because their Ravens provide very early detection, and they're pretty solid form of detection on this map. They with P2, you're not going to run out of charges on Ravens unless you're losing Ravens left and right, and you probably won't run out of charges of Ravens until like mid or late game if you're losing Ravens left and right.
Okay. So both of you put Han and Horner in A. He's not bad. A is pretty good. Let's put Han and Horner in A.
Yep.
Prestige-wise, anyone? You want the second one here?
I'd say second one. Just
second one. The Wing Commanders. All right. Han and Horner 8 here.
Tutu said.
I said 1. I think 1.
Yeah.
Han units.
Okay. You can use this. You can use the first one, or the second one, whichever you prefer. Karax. Where do we have him?
He's a Protoss commander, so we've established that they don't have good forms of trapping a beam, but in actuality, Karax does have a pretty good form of trapping a beam.
Yeah.
You build a pylon and a whole bunch of shield batteries that will trap the beam. With enough points in repair in the auto repair. But yeah, it should be able to trap the beam as long as you have enough shield batteries and the upgrades for it.
How many is enough?
And last time I did it, I think I put up 5 to 7.
All right.
Yeah, let's say 6. 6 sounds about right. And then if you don't trap the beam, you have your own Purifier Beam, which you just hit Amon's Purifier Beam, can't do anything to stop that, and you have space lasers, and those technically again, you don't need to have vision to kill things with the Spear of Adun. Just look for the shimmers and start blasting away. The main thing is, if you do need vision, then how do you keep your observers alive? Which, I mean, is not that difficult. The Purifier Beam is very slow moving. I have Karax SDA.
Okay. What do you think, Tutu?
So Karax is, if you're not using P2 or if you're not using an army, you have to trap the beam. Like the shield battery trap costs a lot. It's not something you can do in the early game, and there's no good spot to do that until there's no good spot to do that, and by the time you can afford to do it, it'll be near your base. So the first beam, if you don't trap it with an observer, it's just going to go near your it's going to go near the right side of the natural, that area. And yeah, so I found the shield battery trap to be very unreliable, so I don't do it. With that said, I think P2 is fine. You just make Colossi for the AoE, and then you're making observers anyways, so just make those robo units, and yeah, A. I put them in A.
Okay, both of you have Karax in A. Let's put Karax in A. Prestige-wise, so you're saying second one is better. Just don't go static defense. Just go units.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is important. Those guys who are not listening to the actual discussion, but just head straight to the end and just look at the commanders in their tiers and they get angry that their favorite commander is D tier, will not know that we're actually recommending the second prestige tier. So, you're lost. Let's move on. Kerrigan, where do we have him?
Kerrigan is very strong for this mutation because you can trap with Omega Worms. You can also trap with Overlords. So, there's one thing I forgot to mention, which is that I think if the first ship that you defend is in the center, there will be a group of units in the top right. In addition to the Nidus ones, I think if you kill the Niduses really quickly, the units will just spawn and stay there. So if they are units that shoot air, you can't patrol Overlords in the top right corner. But if they are like Zealots or Hellions or something, you can just patrol Overlords in the corner and trap every subsequent beam without even having to look. So you can take out one of the mutators right in the beginning of the game by sending 3 Overlords to the corner. But yeah, for Kerrigan, this map is really good for her. She just drops Omega Worms. They help stall, and then you can make Mutalisk, Ultralisk, whatever you want. Immobilization Wave will kill a lot of the infested and stun the rest. So yeah, and since her Beam Trapper is an Overlord, you can still F2 your whole army and doesn't affect it. I put her in S.
Okay. I think you also had him in S tier, right, Eveling?
I didn't go yet, but yeah, S to A.
Okay, so let's have Kerrigan. Go ahead. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
No, that's that pretty much to pretty much sum it right. If you don't want to trap with Overlords, I mean, Omega Worms are a great way to distract the beam.
Perfectly
you just
adequate, right?
Plop them all over the map, put them in areas that the none of the attack waves or where the ships are. One place that I actually do like to put it is right at the bottom of the ramp to the left player's main base. I mean, you just most of the time there's not anything going down there except maybe the first attack wave, and then you just put a whole bunch of stuff there, and it draws the beam all the way over there, away from the ships.
Okay, Kerrigan S tier.
So, SA.
Prestige wise, not. Oh, I think anyone will work here, right? If you're using Overlords to trap, then any prestige will be fine. Though I guess you still want Omegas for the detection, right? Yeah. So not the first one.
Yeah.
Okay, any prestige except the first one. So Kerrigan S tier. Our first S tier. Nova, where do we have him?
Nova, she once upgraded, she's a detector herself. She has Ravens as detection. She's very good at defending the ships. Main thing is just how do you deal with the Purifier Beam for Terran commanders? Float a barracks and have the beam chase that, and just do a circle with the barracks.
A hexagon.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's a standard game for Nova Amos STA.
Okay. What do you think, the two?
The problem with Nova's barracks thing is she can only have one. There will be 3 beams, so you can't trap all 3 beams because each beam targets one unit. So if one beam is being trapped by a barracks, the other 2 will still go after other things, even if they're nearby.
Maybe you can build a command center. You're not limited to
Yeah.
one command. You can fly a
I would
command
just
center.
drop a pair of liberators or banshee. But yeah, so she has the same issue as like the other A tier commanders, which is it's kind of awkward to use if you're used to F2. If you're not, then it doesn't really matter. But yeah, you can disregard it. I put her in A. She's fine. You
Okay.
can even mass bio.
Yeah. I mean, you can even use
one bio, and it's fun.
Yeah. Okay. Nova goes in A tier. Prestige wise, you want the first one?
First one.
Yeah.
So you have shotgun.
And like lots of charges of guys. Let's move on. Raynor, where do we have him?
Oh man, he hates we move unseen. Because so like people say like, of course your ally can provide detection for you. You can also make turrets, but yes, that's true. But then you're at the mercy of someone else. You're not in control. So if you can scan, but it costs you money to do it. So you'll need like you're basically losing money every time you want to see, which kind of sucks.
Does anyone want to make a bet? Does anyone want to make a bet that there will be someone, at least one person in the comment section, who does not watch the actual video and just sees Raynor not in S tier and complain that Raynor should be in S tier because he has scan, and scan makes Raynor S tier? Are you willing to bet that? I'm almost certain there will be at least one person who will comment that Raynor should be S tier because he has scan. No one? No one wants to make that bet?
Too likely to
I don't think anyone really cares about Raynor in the tier list. Mostly they care about Stukov, Zagara, Stetboy.
I think I do see some
Who else?
Raynor comments from time to time, but maybe that was long ago. Anyway, please continue, Tutu.
So, Raynor's army is good. He just like doesn't have good ways to trap the beam. I guess you could use the barracks thing. The thing with the barracks, the beam is invisible, so you need to see the blur. And if you don't realize your unit is burning down, then you're gonna lose the barracks, and then it'll start coming after your army. Because if you're using bio and the beam comes after you, you're gonna lose a lot of stuff. So you have to trap the beam, pretty much. I would say he's like, I don't think anyone should be worse than B, so I put him in B.
There we go. What do you think, Eviling?
I was gonna be brutal and put Raynor in D to E just because of
D?
move unseen. But yeah, but I'll curb the hate. In fact, I got called out on random queue of how much I hate Raynor for these weekly mutations. So yeah, let's say B to C.
Okay, both of you said B. Let's put Raynor in B. Prestige wise, any
of them.
Yeah, any.
would be
If
fine.
you use one, make extra command centers. That's all.
For the scans. Yeah, you will need about 8, maybe 6, but 8's probably safer. 8 to have continuous scans. Raynor goes in.
I found 6 is fine.
Yeah, 6 is fine, but if you gotta be sure, 8 is gonna make sure of that.
Once you have an area cleared, you don't need a scan. You just build missile turrets. It's clearing the area part that you need the scans. So you don't actually need that many. When you're defending, you just make missile turrets.
Yes. Yes. If you trap the beams, yes, you can just make missile turrets. Okay, Raynor goes in B
If
tier.
you don't trap the beams, just make sure to salvage the missile turrets once the beams go for them.
And then rebuild it.
Yeah.
Okay, Raynor Goose in B tier. Stat Boy S tier. Let's move on. Just kidding. Where do we have him?
Get Super Gary. He's a detector. He demolishes everything. The only thing is if you don't trap the Puri Beam, then they're gonna go after Stellites. Oh, what a disaster! Too bad there's no imminent domain, so the Stet zones just come back after a little time. And in fact, you can kind of semi-trap the Puri Beam unconsciously, with just it's going to go after Stellites, and once you spread them around all around the map, it just might end up bouncing back and forth toward Stellites that you don't really need to care about. But it's still good to do the Overlord trapping to make sure it goes after that instead. But yeah, S to A.
Okay. What do you think, Tutu?
I'm pretty sure the beam doesn't go after Stellites. It just takes them out if it passes them. I don't think they actively go after Stellites. But I usually just do the Overlord trap because it's just 50-50 to research speed, and then you guarantee that it's trapped. It's just a lot safer. You can also use P3 on this map and eat all the things with your Ultralists. It's really fun.
Arta- Yeah. Both of you say S. Let's put Stat Boy S. We're suggesting third prestige, right? It's the best
Yeah.
one because
Yeah.
the ultras just
Yeah.
eat everything.
Yes. Nom nom.
Yeah, and you're not limited by Gary's move is not limited by the stat zone. Plus, you don't need super duper Gary against infested, right?
It's overkill.
Yeah,
Way
it's
overkill.
Okay, Stat Boy S tier. Let's move on. Stukov, where do we have him?
Stukov is if you're using P3, you absolutely have to trap the beam, because if you don't trap the beam will just stay at your front door and murder everything that comes out.
So yeah, you'll get spawn camped, basically.
Unless the ships are on the left side and like the beams are kind of stuck on the right side, that can happen because it doesn't enter the safe zones. But then if it goes to the left side, it will just or if it gets to your base, it's just gonna murder all the things that come out. If you use P1, you can use Queens to give vision, or just use Diamondback Overseer, whatever. Either way, either one, whether it's P1, P3, or P3, you want tanks. Tanks are good because of splash damage. Stukov is fine. I put him in A.
Okay, what do you think, Eviling?
Yeah, I have Stukov from A to B. It's just definitely try to trap the beam, or else you just have mass infested not doing anything, due to beams being troll face at a ramp or something like that, or going to the areas of defended ships, or if you're doing P1, you kind of it doesn't. In fact, if you don't want to trap the beam, I would actually recommend P1, because you just do mass Diamondbacks, and then they shoot while on the move, and you just dance around until ship's defended, and then move on. So, yeah. A to
Okay,
B.
both of you said A. Let's put Stukov in A. You can use first prestige or third prestige, but don't forget Brood Queens. You just want to spam that Oculus symbiote on whatever unit you can find on you and your ally. It's great. Stukov, A tier. Swann, where do we have him?
Swann, the guy that's known for floating factories. Yeah, just build a whole bunch of floating factories to mess with the beam, to get vision over the area. And then, of course, you do have to tech up to science vessels in order to get actual vision, so that you can see what needs to die and have the laser drill affect it. But otherwise, it's kind of the mostly standard affair, other than making sure you get the science vessels out. I have Swann from S to A.
What do you think, Tutu?
Yeah, if you want to defend with static defense, then you have to trap the beam. Otherwise, you're just gonna be running around. I don't recommend P2 because the science vessels, like in the early game, are very costly. already. So the P2 extra 50% cost makes them extremely expensive. So not
So just get
really, you don't really need
Gastrones.
the extra strength of the turrets anyways. So yeah, I think A is fine.
Just get Gastrones. Easy. Easy. Both of you have Swann in A. Let's put Swann in A. Prestige wise, you want the first one?
Or 0.
Or no prestige? Okay. No prestige or first one. You don't want a third prestige because that will slow down the top bars, and you know a second one because you want science vessels. Let's move on. Tychus, where do we have him?
Tychus is one of the commanders that can't trap the beam, but he actually doesn't really care because his army is 5 units and that's it. So you can actually like dance around the beam and it's not really a problem. Yeah, if the beam gets close to you, you can even stand in the beam for a little bit and you're not gonna die. You're not gonna use Lone Wolf, so not Lone Wolf. Use anything, probably P3. P3 is really good here. So yeah, I put Tychus in S because he just plays normally. You just get a fixer first instead of
Okay, so he's not seriously good this time. What do you think, Eveling?
Yeah. Non P2. I mean, you still can play this with P2. Pretty much most of his, including Tychus, has a way of dealing with stuff that's cloaked. Tychus just throws a grenade in the area and things will die. But of course, you're always waiting on grenade, so you're not going to be putting Tychus at the front. Sirius is going to be the definitely the first outlaw to be dealing with this. But yeah, it'll be a lot less stressful if you just not do P2 on this. In terms of trapping the beam, you could build 3 command centers, 3 extra command centers, and have them float around. That is
Tychus
an
could be
option.
Raynor.
But that's yeah. But yeah, if you're not playing P2, it'll play very normally. So yeah, STA.
Okay, both of you said S. Let's put Tychus in S. You want the third prestige, right?
I'd say
pretty much
1 or 2,
anything
1 or
that's
3.
not
Anyone,
two.
but not the second one. Or do you
Yeah.
still like the second one?
Hmm.
You can make the second one work.
If your ally's gonna detect for you, like you're in a pre-made, then you can use the second one.
Yeah, if you're in a
But
pre-made, like why are you even watching? It's like one of the easiest ones around. So yeah, if you're in a solo queue, you don't want to go for the second one, right?
yeah,
All right. So Tychus
Yep.
S tier. Let's move on. Vorazun, where do we have him?
Vorazun, she's with her crappy form of detection of an oracle on this map is actually not too bad. You could go mass oracle, and it's pretty entertaining because most of the things that are on the ground are most of the enemies on this map are ground based and don't have the best ways to shoot up. So yeah, once you get the cloak upgrade, mass oracles can kind of melt, and you they're fast enough that they just kind of dance around the purifier beam, and while defending the ships, you throw corsairs into that, so it kind of helps. I mean, ultimately, defending ships is just about stalling. So yeah, you could perpetually just stall. There are pacifist runs on this map with using Vorazun just by dropping disruption web around the ship constantly. So uh, otherwise, it's for your it's out of the ordinary of standard Vorazun play, which usually involves DTs. Yeah, DTs are not the best here due to volatile infested. But yeah, still doesn't have much issues with this map. I think I have it for Este.
S2A. So for those pacifist runs, how do they deal with banshees?
Serious?
So it's not pacifist, since they have to still fight.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay. How about you, Tutu?
Yeah,
This one, so similar to the other Prodosses, you have to use like a Corsair or something to trap the beam, and yeah, that's about it. So you can't F2, but you can have a pretty decent army. If you want, you can actually mass Void Race. So that is an option. Not a great one, but it's an option. This map is not difficult, and her detectors are not very smart, but they won't really get targeted. So yeah, A is fine.
Okay. Both of you have Vorazun in A. Let's put Vorazun in A. Prestige wise, she has 1 prestige, a third one. Let's move on. Zagara.
it doesn't matter.
Okay. Zagara, where do we have him?
So for this one, so she has Overlord to trap stuff, and to trap the beam, so she can still F2. Because Zagara without F2 is really hard, actually. So you have so many units. It's like playing Brew War again. The good thing is she doesn't have that issue with regular Overlords to trap the beam, and then it's basically you're playing regular minor evacuation with Overseers everywhere. So yeah, I actually recommend P2 because for this one, aberrations like they have a lot of HP and you can supplement them with bio launchers from the natural to shoot at stuff. Yeah, you can rain bios from your natural to wherever the ships are. I'd put her in A.
Okay. Both of you. Oh, wait. Yeah, what do you think, Eveling?
Yeah, same. I would definitely recommend P2 on this one, just so that you have a more beefy front line to kind of keep stuff off the ship. Otherwise, yeah, and you have Zagara unit, so having the Baning Barrage definitely helps out a lot. You don't need to have vision in order to cast Baning Barrage. Just look for the shimmers and cast in that general direction, and things will die. But mostly a standard affair for her. And then just so that it said, bio launchers don't need vision either. So
Yeah, it's true.
and definitely helpful to have them. They can help defend two of the ships. So it's worthwhile to make a few of them at your expo, and then it definitely helps when stuff starts coming after your expo. I'd say A to B for her, just because of usually she sort of struggles with this map, but I mean it's an easy enough mutation. It's not that much of an issue.
Okay. Zagara goes in A tier. Prestige wise, second one.
Yeah.
Okay. Zeratul, where do we have him?
Zeratul, he's a Protoss commander. His only way to really trap the beam is void arrays or watchers. But cannon's good. Their detectors, they can pretty much hold down a ship on their own if you have enough of them. SA.
What do you think, Tutu?
So he is like the other Prodosses. He uses observers to trap the beam. The difference is he doesn't need an army, so it's not awkward to use Zeratul plus cannons. And you can trap the artifact, so you can easily buff yourself up to like 10 fragments and be invincible pretty much. So yeah, I put him in S.
Okay. Zeratul in S tier. Prestige wise, you want the second one, right?
Second one.
All right.
Mhm.
So, do we have a double S?
Not really.
Not
You still have
really.
to trap the artifact. You still have to trap the beam.
Who's top of S?
Yeah, all of them require.
I would say Kerrigan?
Kerrigan?
No. Kerrigan or Stetmann.
I was thinking Stat Boy.
Yeah, I'll make a worm spam. Make a worm spam is nice.
Okay. Kerrigan top of S. Who's second to S?
Stetmann.
Then
Zeratul.
Zeratul.
Then
Tychus.
who's top of A?
Does this really matter? Like all the A's?
Yes.
Yeah, to the viewers it matters. That someone's gonna complain. Oh,
It's your fault. You put so many guys in A. I just put Karax as the top. Like, you can't go wrong with that.
yeah. I think that's the simplest.
I'll put Alarak. No wait.
Alarak? Okay. And then
Sure.
how about
Alarak,
Swann?
Karax.
Not Swann.
Not Swann. Alarak and Karax. There we go. Do we have a definite bottom of A?
I think
Vorazun?
Zagara, just because she's.
It's this map.
Vorazun actually does okay on this map. I mean, you can make mass void rays. That's already saying a lot. That
Okay. So, who's next after Karax?
Abathur.
I'd say. Not Dehaka?
Dehaka, yeah.
Oh
Dehaka.
yeah. No overlords for Dehaka. That's right.
Oh yeah, that was the problem. He doesn't have overlords.
Okay, so
Yeah. So Abathur,
Abathur?
then Dehaka,
then Dehaka.
and then
Stukov?
Minx sounds fine to me.
Arcturus? Okay.
I think. And
Stukov has overlords.
yeah.
Yeah, Stukov.
Wait, Arcturus over Stukov?
I'd say
Yes.
still say Arcturus over Stukov.
Okay.
His bunker
Because
defense is really
Stukov needs that. He needs to get factories up in order to get his overseers.
Okay. And then after Stukov, Nova?
Nova. Yeah. Nova, Phoenix. Like this right now?
That's fine. Correctly ordered.
Yep.
Okay.
That's fine to me.
Who's top of B? And by the way, whoever is not top of B will go straight to F tier.
Artanis is
Top of B is Artanis, guaranteed.
Raynor or Artanis?
Artanis.
Artanis. Alright.
Artanis for sure.
Poor Raynor. Alright.
That's perfectly fine.
That's perfectly fine. Alright, guys. Watch Tutu's channel. I will link it down below. I'll see you guys next time.